In the summer of 1518, a woman walked into the street in a town called Strasbourg and started to dance. Nobody had asked her to. There was no music. She just started moving and she could not stop. Her name was Frau Trophäa. She danced through the whole first day. Then the sun went down and she kept going through the night into the next morning. By day 3, her feet were bloody and her shoes were ruined, and she was still dancing. Her husband begged her to stop. She couldn't. It was like her body wasn't taking orders anymore. Her neighbors thought she'd lost her mind. What they didn't know yet was that it was about to spread. Within a week, more than 30 other people had joined her. Same blank stare, same endless movement. Within a month, the number hit around 400. 400 people dancing in the streets, unable to stop. And here's the part that makes your skin crawl. Some of them danced until they died. People dropped from heart attacks, from strokes, from plain exhaustion. Their bodies just gave out. At the worst of it, people claim that around 15 were dying every single day. So, what do you do if you're running the city? And half your town won't stop dancing. The officials called in doctors, and the doctors came back with a diagnosis that sounded like a joke. They said it was hot blood, too much heat trapped in the body. And the cure, they decided, was to dance it out. So the city leaned in. They didn't try to stop it. They tried to help it along. They cleared out 2 big halls. They built a wooden stage. They even hired musicians and paid for a band. Their thinking was simple. If these people just dance until they're empty, the sickness will leave with the sweat. You can probably guess how that went. More music meant more dancing. More dancing meant more bodies on the floor. They made the whole thing worse. They turned an outbreak into a festival of dying people. For weeks, this went on until somebody finally changed the plan. They banned the music. They shut down the dancing. And they loaded the worst cases onto wagons. They hauled them into a shrine in the mountains for a saint named Vitus and prayed for the curse to lift. And slowly, strangely, it did. By September, the dancing stopped almost as quietly as it began. So, what actually happened here? For 500 years, people have argued about it. The first big theory is poison. A fungus called ergot grows on damp rye, and it can cause convulsions and wild hallucinations. People ate a lot of rye bread back then, so maybe the whole town was poisoned by bad flour. But there's a hole in that idea. Ergot chokes off blood flow to your arms and legs. It makes it hard to even walk. You can't dance for days on legs that barely work. So most experts now lean towards something stranger. They think it was the mind, a thing we now call mass psychogenic illness. It used to be called mass hysteria. It's when stress gets so heavy in a group that it turns into real physical symptoms. Not faking, not acting. Their bodies genuinely did this, with nobody steering it on purpose. To understand it, you have to understand how bad life was in Strasbourg that year. The crops had failed. People were starving. Disease was tearing through the city. People were dropping dead from cold, from hunger, from sickness, with no end in sight. On top of all of that, they had a local legend. They believed in a saint named Vitus. And the story went that if you made Saint Vitus angry, he would punish you by forcing you to dance. So picture it, a terrified, starving town that already believes dancing is a curse waiting to happen. One stressed woman snaps and starts to move, and the shared belief does the rest. Because here's the wild thing about the human brain, it's incredibly suggestible, especially in a crowd. You see other people doing something, and a quiet part of you starts copying without asking permission. We see smaller versions of this all the time. One person yawns, and the whole room yawns. A few students faint at a school, and suddenly dozens feel sick with no medical cause. The dancing plague was the same wiring, turned all the way up. In a town that was already breaking, and that's what sticks with me about this story. It wasn't a poison or a monster. It was just people, ordinary, scared people, whose minds were under so much pressure, their bodies did the impossible. We like to think we're in full control of ourselves, that we never just lose it like that. But your brain is a lot more connected to the people around you that you never want to admit. The people of Strasbourg weren't weak, and they weren't crazy. They were human. In a year that asked too much of being human. And 500 years later, we still can't fully explain what made them dance. If stories like this are your kind of weird, you'll feel right at home here. This channel runs on the strangest, true things people have ever done. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.